Alright guys, Scrappy and I hope you're doing well and enjoying it all day so far. Roster chaos back on the menu. PaulEhx back from his retirement almost as quickly as it initially started. But Zoom were also not happy because his team was going through some drama yesterday. Roster drama happens, but even before that, Scrappy joins the call and gives the team some insights that seemingly held in much higher regard than what Zoom has been telling them over the last couple of weeks. What is this new side of Scrappy? What's going to happen next? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Just firstly, this here from Toronto. They're calling content creators to potentially go to the World Championship. Here's your boy and Trey. Now this I thought was interesting in the replies here because I think during the first major in Madrid, there was a watch party kind of in France for the Gentlemates fans happening. Guitargas in the replies talking about it as well. So, this got lots of reaction. Obviously, it's pretty interesting, right? Because lots of the French scene and Gentlemates want to have something like this going on. But, the reality is they ain't going to be at champs, right? So, I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. We're definitely intrigued to your thoughts on that one. This, I got to feel bad for Daniel Say in a way. But anyway, there was this tweet here for the Jets, and Say clearly wasn't happy about it, right? There's still time to delete this and fix things. I'm not going to comment on this particular move, but obviously he had an opinion on it, and people were clowning him, weren't they? Because they were saying, look, there's still time to delete this league or fix things or whatever the case is, right? There are plenty of replies kind of to that end. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? The league's in an interesting spot right now, certainly going forward to next year. It's a big conversation. What happens next with some of these CDL franchises? Are they going to stay? Are they going to go? What even happens with the league? I mean, I'm be honest, I've been expecting for a couple of years some discussion on whether we still need to have city-based names and stuff like that. Not sure if we should expect any changes for next year, maybe the year after, I don't know, right? Things are going to change. Some more poverty orgs might be leaving the franchise setup. We'll talk a bit more about that later on today, but let's get into some of the roster drama starting here, right? So, look, PaulEhx, he was dropped by Rocker. He did not have a good stint. It was an interesting one for Paul because he was actually really good in challenges at the end of last year. He got the stint back in the league and, well, he wasn't good. He had like a 0.85 or something. His search and destroy at times was pretty terrible. But it must be said, since they've brought in Kenny for Paul, it's not like they've got substantially better, right? The team, I think Kenny is better than Paul, and I think he's playing better than how Paul was playing. But it must be said that the rest of the team, Gio's maybe not been quite the player that he was early on in the season. Probably the same is certainly true for Estriel. Nero probably you'd say is true as well. Okay, still inconsistent, but that is what it is. So, maybe there was an argument that Paul was kind of enabling those guys more than Kenny, or maybe those guys have just struggled in the second half of the season. Sometimes that does happen with those players. I think like Nero often starts well, second half of the season questions start to be there. So look, I get it, but also for Paul, it's not like his stock is so in the bin that it would be impossible. Like GodRx, for example, after the Ravens stint, I think he did the wise thing to say, you know what, I've had my time. I had a pretty decent run back in the day. I'm going to call it off here. That's what he did. And GodRx hasn't made the return to my understanding yet. Whereas for Paul, he was great in challenges at the end of last year, got the chance on Rocker, didn't go to plan, but it's not like Rocker are making champs anyway, probably. So there's an argument to say maybe there's still a chance in there. Now, of course, he was going to Warzone, right? He was played that Threes tournament and didn't have a great time, and probably then and there said, you know what, Warzone competitive or even Warzone streaming, it ain't for me. I want to get back into the pit, right? So he joins a team. It's Asim, Gunsy, and Major Maniac. So, these are names that are still around. And Paul is back in team with these guys. And Paul says this, I knew I'd get backlash for this. I could get a lot of hate and backlash coming back after such a short time. But I still feel I've got what it takes to make it back. I know my potential. And right now I feel like I've wasted it. And that doesn't sit right with me. So the fire is lit. Paul is locked in. And he's going to make the run back. Nature was talking about it in the replies. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it works out for Paul. We do see this quite a lot, right? Like when you talk about players retiring and stepping away, often you'll find that those players at some point will probably be back. It happens with Doug, it happens, I remember many times with Parasite, he retired and then it's like, well, you know what, I'll come back for one last dance. The last dance concludes, then he comes back again. I don't know if that's going to be the case of Paul. I don't know what his chances are of getting back in. And, obviously there were some pretty funny replies such as this to the whole situation. So, look, wishing the best for Paul. Nice to see him back around the scene. Whether it's going to work out, of course, grinding back through challenges, we will see because, you know, when a situation like that unfolds, it does become difficult to get back into the Pro League. But Paul knows that, and he thinks he's still got what it takes to make it happen. But drama elsewhere in challenges too. So there was lots going on. We had a few teams changing around. I think Trakes, the Argentinian player, he made a move, and then it kind of kicked off all this. I mean, it's classic challenges, isn't it? One player joins a certain team, that guy gets dropped, goes to a different team, that guy gets dropped, goes to a different team, and, you know, people are thinking about seeding, right? Because this upcoming tournament is the big one in many respects. This effectively is like the Challengers World Championship in the sense that if you win it, you qualify for the World Cup guaranteed, and that's a massively big deal, right? And also it's going to be all there in the same venue. There's the pros, there's the watch parties, there's the second stage, there's the challenges, there's the food hall, like whatever, right? Halo's just around the corner. I mean, I think it might be on the other side of the venue, but you know what I'm saying? Big DreamHack event. Very excited to see how it goes. But obviously, it's big for the challenges, because if you win DreamHack challenges, you get to the World Cup, and like that's the opportunity, right? I mean, for a guy like Mercules, we're going to talk about him a little bit more later on today, but if he didn't get the chance because Beans had his visa issues getting to Miami, Mercules would still be in challenges right now. And if he never qualified for the World Cup, which maybe his team would or would not have done, maybe he never gets a shot in the league, right? You never know how these things transpire. And of course, there will be debates on whether the talent coaching or the talent scouting in the CDL is actually just terrible, which I would say more than likely it probably is. My point is, though, that there are probably other players out there who have the potential to make a serious impression on the CDL, but you get to show that at the World Cup because you get to play with your team against the pros. You know, we don't get that in the league nowadays, right? They did the occasional pro-am over the last couple of years, but EWC does give the chance, but of course, first you've got to qualify. So seeding for the big tournament is obviously a big deal as well. So Team War dropped Trakes. He then joined a different team. So Assaults then basically ruined the Stallions roster. So we'll get to the Stallion stuff in a second, because Millie then left the Stallions to a place where Raspy was going. So it's Millie, Lurks, Fame and Gunless. But before that all happened and Millie left the team, there was a bit of drama on stream as well yesterday. So very entertaining stuff. ZooMaa was on stream, of course, with the roster. They're grinding out through some of the hardpoint scrims. And Scrappy joins the call to give his perspective on what's going on with the team. And, well, Scrappy, I mean, look, I wouldn't say he doesn't sound like Scrappy, because he does. I think Scrappy does have this element of his personality. We don't always see it. But when ZooMaa tries to help the team out and give them his opinion, Scrappy comes at it with a slightly different angle and all of a sudden has the team very much on side. So I thought this was really cool to see, but ZooMaa wasn't especially happy about it.
We're still not
I'm gonna give you guys two things, bro. I'm gonna give you guys two things. Two things that help your comms, okay? Yo,
Yes,
one, off spawn, right? When say two of you die, right? Don't say I have kitchen, bro. Tell your teammates off spawn what they should be picking up. Don't tell them what you have. That doesn't fucking matter what you have. Tell them what needs to be picked up, and it will make the flow of the game easier. Like right now, you guys are saying kitchen, and you're making the guys off spawn understand what's going on instead of they should be getting told what's happening already on the map. Okay, and then two, yo, you guys are spamming shit. Instead of saying things once, you're saying, yo, he's in kitchen, he's in kitchen, he's in kitchen. While another guy is saying, yo, he's left, he's left, he's left. There's way too much shit being said. Just say shit once, bro. People will hear you. And if someone's not hearing you, after the map, that's when you're like, yo, you need to fucking listen. That's a listening problem, all right? So, like, just calm the game down, bro. You guys aren't playing bad. You're just making it way more chaotic than it should be.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Wait, Scrap, question. Could you kind of, just for me personally, like an example of that first point you made, just so I kind of understand it more?
Okay, for example, right? On the P1 to P2 row, when you guys are pushed out top mid and one's pushed out on the right, the guys off spawn should be getting told, yo, just hold left, or like hold right, or like hold the piano push. Something that the teammates already have that like, or like teammates that your teammates off spawn need to pick up.
Yeah.
Right? That's not, the person coming off spawn shouldn't be telling other people what to do. They should be getting told what to do.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
There you go.
I bet. Thank you. Let's go, boys.
I'll tell you how many guys go Scraps.
See how this goes.
Are you
Bro,
fucking
that was
serious?
magical, bro.
Are you
That
fucking
was fucking
serious?
magical.
Wait. So you're telling me the things that I already told them? I already told them these things. Okay, in a nice, calm manner, like Scrappy just did a week ago. The only problem is 7 days later, we're still making the same mistakes. We're still making the same fucking mistakes. But Ernie just comes in, says exactly what I said last week, and now all of a sudden, this guy's some master coach over here. This guy's a master coach.
I don't remember you saying any of that stuff.
You don't remember me saying that we need to be able to get.
So I think this gives a nice insight into Scrappy as a player, really, and who he actually is. Not behind the mask, because I think Scrappy is actually very authentic a lot of the time in the way that he goes about the trash talk and everything. And that's not necessarily going to change, but you can't just be a trash talker, big ego, talented player, right? Okay, Scrappy's ego is big, sure, and for what it should be. If it wasn't, I'd be concerned, because if you're that good, to be that good and to believe you're going to be the best, you got to think it, right? And that's perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. I do wish Scrap sometimes, had a bit more respect for the OGs, as it were. I don't know. Scrap's been often accused of, not giving respect. Basically, he thinks he's better than all the previous generations. And on some level, I get that. I mean, you see between different pro players. Some of the current pros will give a lot of credit to the likes of Scump and Formal and, the other OGs that pioneered the scene. And it's not like Scrap doesn't give credit to those guys, but, Scrap just thinks he's better than all of those players that came before him. That's been, his general theory. And maybe that's absolutely fine. But, I know that some people would say, I wish Scrap was a little bit more humble in some regards compared to the people that pioneered the scene. But I get it. It's Scrap. It is what it is. But you get a perception here as to why, he's won quite a lot already. Now, winning World Championships not happened yet, but he's won a fair few tournaments now, and I don't expect them to stop winning anytime soon with the way that Thieves roster currently looks, and that Scrap HyDra duo is, rather good, as we well know. But here you get to see a little bit of why Scrap is impressive, right? And clearly in the communication that's happening behind the scenes at Thieves, this is the type of stuff that we're hearing. We don't necessarily get this publicly, but Scrap's talking about, okay, comms, communicating this, communicating that. And at the end of the day, even a player like Scrap, who's kind of not known for having this in his locker, more of just like a pure talent, gutty type player, to be a top-level player, to win championships, does take a well-rounded approach. And I'm sure he's learned that from teammates over the years as well, and now he can impart some of that knowledge on some of the up-and-coming newer generation, right? But I thought it was pretty sweet how I think it was Swooty was saying, yeah, can I have some specific criticism? Scrap gives him it, then he's like, okay, yes, sir, wanting to improve. ZooMaa wasn't so happy that, similarly Scrappy had come in there and become the coach immediately within a couple of minutes, and ZooMaa was getting ousted. But, I thought it was pretty funny to see. ZooMaa was crashing out about it as well. It was pretty funny that later in the night, I mean, this is early morning my time, Chelly dropped a diss track on Millie because he ditched the Stallion. So, it was obviously, that was the drama, really. The Scrap thing was one piece, but as we discussed, the roster got chalked because Millie eventually dipped out to play with, what he thinks is going to be a better team with more experienced players. And, I get it, right? If you are Millie, you're going over there to play with Lurks, Fame, and Gunless, players who have been around, a fair bit of time, a bit more experience. Millie's a talented player as well, so I do get it. But obviously it is unfortunate for the Stallions that the roster got cooked basically before they got to LAN environment. So we'll see what happens next there. Tomasi says, I scanned the community of 4 fridges, the hate post on Reddit, Scrap already diffing me in yesterday's coaching session. Think I'm going to take a day to self-reflect, to be back stronger and better than ever. I've failed you all. So, yeah, ZooMaa crashing out. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. My one final question is this. Mercury is unlikely to win Rookie of the Year. It's possible if he wins the major, and maybe even if he comes second, it's not impossible. But more than likely, it is going to be one of the Heretics guys. It can't really be Exnid. He's been good, but his team is terrible, so it is what it is. Rancor versus Super is the question. I think until very recently I would have said Rancor, and I probably still will. I know I said on the show the other day that I might give it to Super now, but Rancor has played the whole year, and he's been very good all year, and they did get a great placement without Super and with Rancor right at the start of the season in Madrid. So I'm probably going to lean Rancor's way still, although I do feel like the team, when they brought Super in, definitely leveled up again, and his Search and Destroy has been, frankly, unreal, but online, right? So I think LAN is going to potentially be the difference maker here. It probably is between one of these two guys. I would say the majority of people right now would probably give it to Rancor. I think you can argue Super, but and it may depend on the major a little bit. Like if Heretics do well at the major again, like if they make another Sunday, for example, I mean, I'm not going to lie, they could end up 5-0 after these qualifiers. They're currently 4-0 in their last game. I think maybe they play Ravens or something, but definitely a winnable game anyway. Miami's last game of these qualifiers this upcoming weekends. They could be 5-0 undefeated. Not many orgs have ever done that, really. I mean, like New York probably did it. Obviously, FaZe have done it. OpTic have done it several times. Like, let's say, Thieves have done it, right? Like, but there's not that many, Toronto, not that many organizations have actually done a 5-0 split in a qualifier run, and Miami are on the verge of doing it right here. And if they go to the major and they do a great job, then, you know, Super would have a couple of great placings, and Rancor would have 3 great placings, so maybe that closes the gap a little bit between the pair of them. But if Super delivers in Search and Destroy on LAN, you know, it's going to be a talking point because right now his search has been unreal, but it's been primarily online. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.